Please, we are here, dear listener, to be able just to build our families, to be able to strengthen our families, and to see, dear listener, how we can make them work. And today I'm talking about a topic I touched on last week, and some of you are asking if I could be able to talk about it a bit more. I'm talking about emotional capital in marriage. Emotional capital in marriage. And what is emotional capital? I always say that every single relationship that begins, there's always a particular investment, or rather capacity, that you have emotionally for that relationship. That's what I normally talk about emotional capital in every, whenever I talk about every form of relationship, I talk about emotional capital, and say that once it is depleted, then the marriage or that relationship is in trouble. And doesn't matter, it can be a relationship between a mother and a daughter, it can be between a husband and a wife. The bottom line is that every human being gets into a relationship with an already fitted emotional capital. And that determines the ability of someone to invest in that relationship, and what capacity, dear listener, they can be able to invest in that relationship. So at times you will be demanding something from someone and their capital is not there. I talk about emotional capital in relationships, and I'm going to talk about emotional space, dear listener, and I normally talk about, dear listener, emotional climate. So emotional capital basically is that which I have put in, which I have come with as Victor into this relationship. And it's good to understand that, am I with someone who has the same amount of emotional capital as me? Then also we'll look at what takes away emotional capital. Because some marriages end not because love is finished, but because the emotional capital has been withdrawn heavily. First things first, let's look at very quick signs that show that emotional capital is low in that relationship. Number one, when you find that you are snappy and irritable. When you find that you're snappy and irritable, everything that happens within the relationship, you're always about to get angry. Kila kitu, you're always at the edge of being upset. Every small thing you want to bite. Your spouse says this, you're angry. They come late, you're angry. The way they sit, the way they talk, everything about them, just, you're always on edge. Any small thing and you're over the cliff to get angry. That is a sign, dear listener, emotional capital is low. In fact, very low. Number two, this is very common. When you are happier when your spouse is away and stressed when they are there. If you find that you find more peace of mind when your partner is away, it's a clear indication that emotional capital in that relationship is very, very low. I've heard people saying that I prefer when my wife is away or my husband is away, I have more peace. Wakiwa area, I am stressed. That is a sign emotional capital in a relationship is very low. Number three, when you literally can't see anything good in your partner. There's nothing good you see. The way they snore, the way they breathe, the way they walk, the way they chew, everything about them, you ask yourself a question. Where was God when I was saying yes to this fellow? When you find a place whereby everything about them is annoying, you can't see anything good in them. If they buy you flowers, it irritates you. They buy you this, it irritates you. They make you a good meal, you don't like it. Dear listener, emotional capital is very low. Number four, now this one is very important, because this is one I normally look at in my office when I see couples in my office. I ask this, I look at this way. When you no longer have the energy to invest in your marriage, you no longer have the energy. I've had people come into my office, and after a long discussion, you tell them, fine, to fix your marriage, you need to do 1, 2, 3. Then you ask them, can you do it? And you hear someone saying, Victor, at this point, I cannot. Not because I don't love my partner, but I no longer have the capacity to invest in that marriage. Investment is zero. And it's good to note this, dear listener. If you look at your marriage, look at this reality. Are you in a relationship where, truthfully speaking, you don't want your marriage to end, but you no longer have the energy to make it work? That's normally a very strange, strange imbalance. But it's good to realize that. That is sign emotional capital is done. Number five, I hear this every other day in my office. When you are indifferent about your partner's actions or behaviors, wakati imefika, I don't really care what they do. Akitaka, if your husband wants to sleep for 2 days outside, you don't care. If your wife wants to call you a porcupine or a squid, you don't really care. It's come to a place where whatever your partner does no longer affects you. Unamwangalia kama vile mtu huangalia mti. There, dear listener, emotional capital is gone. Number six, when you find it difficult to sustain a conversation with your partner without it becoming a fight. Yani, talking to your partner is another job. Ili tu mkae kwa meza, you have a discussion for an hour or 2 hours, and it doesn't turn into a fight, it's almost impossible. You can have one conversation in a month, but it will be good. All the others, you'll begin talking about something and you will fight. You will fight about everything and nothing. You'll fight about what the neighbor said, everything, opinions, everything. I've found couples where having a conversation is difficult. They can't sustain a conversation for 10 minutes. They love to fight. So they rather talk about, have the kids done their homework? Have you paid school fees? When is your mother going? Such discussions. But they'll never talk about anything because it is work to sustain a conversation. Then number 7, how you know it is finished, is when you picture yourself divorced and you're okay with it. Now this is when you know you have no more capital. When you look at your partner and you imagine yourself without them and you're okay without them, if you don't see the future so bad, you want to break up with someone, but you're afraid of the future. You are afraid of tomorrow. You're thinking many things about tomorrow. The tomorrow is so scary. Dear listener, that happens a lot. But now, emotional capital, when it is finished, is when you look at the future and you can comfortably see your partner not in it. And you're actually very comfortable with it. Now, dear listener, what kills emotional capital? Because the emotional capital is normally taken away by sudden events that do a huge investment on your emotions. And the emotions make a huge withdrawal that suddenly you have nothing left. Number 1, very simple 6 things that take away emotional capital. Number 1, prolonged abuse. When you have been abused emotionally, physically, verbally for a long time, over time that always does a withdrawal on your emotional capital. Withdrawal on your emotional capital. The test I take couples through when they come to my office, which is the emotional capital test, where we normally find out how much emotional capital do they have left. Most of them have gone through abuse and apata akona karibu 3 or 4%. Next one is this. When your partner has continuously broken your heart and betrayed you. When you have been betrayed and heartbroken for a long time, your emotional capital goes. Because when I break your heart now, betray you now, I do a withdrawal in emotional capital. Again, another one, I do another withdrawal. Over time, when apart after 10 years, you are done, you have nothing more to give, you'd rather walk away. Number 3, dear listener, false promises and lies. Wale wa uongo. Vision 20 never. Promissory notes. Yes. They always promise and they never fulfill. The more you promise your partner and never fulfill, the more they lose their trust in you and the more a withdrawal is done on emotional capital. Number 4, emotional abandonment. When you're in a marriage and you feel as though you are single married, hiyo sana emotional capital is being withdrawn rapidly. Then number 5, traumatic events. Loss of a child, loss of a parent, your own grief. Maybe you've lost a job, you're in an accident. I've seen couples not being able to survive. Maybe cancer hits the marriage, a bad disease like cancer hits them, the marriage. And after they are done fighting cancer, they can no longer sustain the marriage. And you wonder why. This person was with me in India, tukenda chemotherapy, kila kitu, but we came back and the marriage could not work. It is because the withdrawal on emotional capital was huge. It went. So taking care of a sick loved one, those things taken away. Then number 6, very important, is when you're fighting for the marriage alone. When you're fighting for your marriage alone. That is very, very important. If you find yourself fighting for a marriage alone, dear listener, sana that takes away emotional capital. Because ni wewe unajipigianga simu, unajipeleka date, you're the one trying to make the marriage work. Ule mwingine ako holiday. Such things, dear listener, they kill emotional capital completely, dear listener. And one I like to add, is the 7th one I like to add very so often, is this. When at the end of the day, you don't have a strong spiritual base. You don't have a strong spiritual base. If you have a strong spiritual foundation, it makes it a bit easier to recharge your emotional capital. But at times, if you also have a shaky relationship with God, also, it's difficult for you to find the source where you can drink from again, dear listener. And this reflection will be on my Facebook page, Victor Salamba, within the course of the day, dear listener. Be sure to check it out. Tunaongelea emotional capital on 88.3 FM, Waumini Soul Food